Here I hold a relic from the past, the Sony FD71. It's more commonly known as the floppy disk camera. In all honesty, this thing is complete rubbish, but there are some things that I really love about it. Mainly that this thing is incredibly nostalgic to me, but also this shows how far technology has come in recent years. Now, this arrived in 1998, and a year later the SD card came out, which completely blew it out of the water. And you'll probably find this in most cameras today. But you might ask, what makes this so nostalgic? Well, in honesty, if you're under the age of maybe 18, this part probably won't make a lot of sense, so just bear with me on this. But when I was a kid growing up, most computers had a floppy disk drive in them, much like the same sort of technology in this. And whenever you read any data from this, they'd make this very unique crunching noise, and there's something oddly satisfying about hearing a computer work in such a mechanical way. That's what happens whenever you use this. And I think that's why I love it, because it instantly transports me back to that time when I was a kid. Now you might ask, what is a floppy? Well, let me enlighten you. This is a floppy disk. It's called that because of the medium inside, which is, well, floppy. The actual casing itself is reasonably hard, and I think the older designs were floppy, but do you know what, we'll glaze over that. This had 1.44 megabytes of storage capacity, which would hold around about a minute of music today. Now, at the time, it would actually record 45 low-quality images on this camera, but in contrast of modern technology, an SD card now, where you can get 512 gigabytes on one of these, that would store a whopping 350,000 of the same quality photos on something that's a tenth the size. Technology has moved on pretty far in the last 20 years. Anyway, let's check out this beast of a camera. So, firstly, you've got to load a floppy disk in, like so. I turn it on. Firstly, we've got to format it. Got a menu here. And using the 2x technology, this is a surprisingly quick process. That actually sounded like sarcasm, I do apologise. Didn't mean it. Remember I said this was a nostalgic item? Well, if you listen closely, you'll be able to hear anyone born before the year 2000 just whimper a little bit with joy. That is the sound of nostalgia. If you're taking pictures with this in the lowest resolution, it's not actually that slow. Higher quality, you might be pushing it a bit, but if you're an absolute madman like me, and you want the highest quality image that's completely uncompressed, guess how many images you can take? That's right, one. You can take one image on this, and it takes forever. I kid you not. Let's go for this process. Okay, so go to menu here, go to record mode, and we're going to change it up to bitmap. Then go to quality. We want fine. We want a fine quality. Okay, and I'll line it up. Take a picture of. Oh no, I've got a saw. So now we just line it up. I want to take a picture of this guy here. Let's see if... I'll tell you what, I'll zoom in so you can see this on the screen. Remember, no editing. Okay, so what you got to do is just wait till your next birthday for this event to happen, and then, oh wait, no, it's still recording. Oh, wait, no, disk is full. Great. You can't make this stuff up. It's pretty useless, but it is a fine quality image. Just to recap, you get one image on something that's the size of my palm. In other news, you know that SD card I mentioned, the one that has 512 gigabytes? Well, you can now get that on a micro SD card, which is a quarter of the size. So that's 350,000 images on something the size of my fingernail. It's absolutely amazing. I don't actually know why I got rid of this camera, because it makes a lot of sense to get some close-ups of this. It's actually a really well-built camera, really quite nicely designed actually. They've clearly spent a lot of time and money on this, because every single feature, every thing about it just feels well built. It's got protection here for the floppy disk ejection. I just realised everything about this sounds like some sort of euphemism or sexual innuendo, but it works well, that's the main thing. All the switches, they move very nicely, very smooth. All the buttons, they click into place. Actually, I'll turn it on so you can see the screen's quite bright as well. Oh, how could I forget? The disc is full. Yeah, I think it's great. Actually, I'll format that again, just so you can see some of the effects that this does. I'm sure you'd love to see that. Okay. Let's check out some of these amazing picture effects. Ooh, we got negative art. Did anyone ever use these? Oh, I can't remember anyone actually using these. And we got the sepia, black and white, solarize. These were a bit pointless. I'm pretty sure you could do most of these things in the software. The only difference is, if you did it in the camera, there was no going back. So, I don't remember anyone actually ever using these. Is that it? Oh my god. They're a bit lazy. Why even bother with that? That's what, 5 effects or something? Great. Okay, well, on there it says you've got your quick access, 2x drive, disk copy, email mode. You can't even plug this into a computer, so the email mode is kind of obsolete. You have to take out the floppy disk and then put it in your computer. Surely you could just drag and drop it into an email. Why do you need an email mode? What is that? Actually, the main point I wanted to bring up was the resolution. It's 640 by 480 pixels. That's 0.3 megapixels. Just to put that into perspective again, the phone that I'm recording this on right now is 53 times the resolution, and the actual image quality, well, it's almost immeasurable. So yeah, things have moved on quite far. Since I got the camera here for the close-ups, I figured why not do a bit of unboxing. Well, here we've got a picture on the back which might be a bit of a blast in the past. That's what computers used to look like, by the way. And we're looking around. In honesty, yeah, none of that's too exciting. But on the front here, you've got a picture of the camera and the images that it can't produce. And this is the bit I really love, actually, the 2,000 images per charge. 2,000 images per charge. Now, I want to tell you how pointless that really is, because you get 45 images per floppy disk, which means that's around 45 floppy disks. That'd be a stack about this big. And trust me, that would weigh quite a lot. So you couldn't really do it if you were doing some sort of photo sesh or whatever, because it wouldn't be very practical. Plus, the actual time it would take to transfer all the photos and the actual time it takes if you want to take an uncompressed or high resolution image, well, you'd probably just be able to charge the battery again. So it's ambitious, Sony. I like that you're doing that, but it's completely pointless. Anyway, let's look at the rest of this up there. I was given this as a little bit of a joke where I used to work. So it's new for old stock. Clearly they just couldn't sell them. Let's have a little unbox here. Ooh, look at all that magic you get inside. Put that down there. So, you've got all your... Oh, there's the lens cap. Guide. I could get that out, but I can't really be bothered. This is the bit I find interesting. The CD. A lot of them had these, was it ULEAD Studio or ULEAD Systems? Photo Express. One day, maybe I'll power up. I doubt it'll work on my current PC. It works with Windows 95 and Windows NT. Not really 10 compatible, I guess. But yeah, this is the thing I was saying about having all those photo effects in camera. It's completely pointless when you've got something like this, because clearly that's a lot more powerful. Probably absolute rubbish, but it can do a lot more. Anyway, anything else in the box? No. You got a strap. You got a strap on for your floppy. Anyway, for some reason our school thought it would be a good idea to buy a load of these cameras, even though they weren't that cheap at the time. I think this was about £500, and they clearly spent thousands of pounds on these cameras, even though we couldn't afford the most basic of supplies. I'm not really sure who gave this person purchasing power. I imagine they either don't have a job now, or they were the same person who later bought those interactive whiteboards that no one else used. Probably when they bought these, they were clutching onto their mini disc player thinking, oh no, floppy disks are the future. Even though a basic search online, or, well, I guess online wasn't really around then, but looking at a tech magazine, they would have found out that SD cards were coming out, and it would probably have a very bold title saying, don't buy floppy disk cameras. They're going to be obsolete very, very soon. But do you know what? I am glad that this was around for a short period of time because, as I say, for nostalgic purposes, it's great. Even at the time, these were rubbish. as I say, you can't plug it into a computer and offload the images. So that means that even though it makes claims for website creation and email saying this is great for that, well, it wasn't really true, because you could still just digitize your images, or I believe there were actually other digital cameras around at the time with their own proprietary media. I think Sony had one. I can't remember what that was, but actually, yeah, Sony produced this. Why did you? Oh, I don't know. Maybe it came out around the same time. There was another memory stick thing that they did, and that would work a lot better, like an SD card. Either way, I'm glad this existed for a short period of time. Even though the camera's terrible and I'm never ever going to use it, the nostalgia purposes for this, well, it fills that category pretty well. Anyway, I've got loads of other tech items, useless tech items like this, that I'm going to look at. So if you subscribe, then I'll catch you later. Oh, for God's sake. Damn it, I forgot that I just put it on the raw mode. Or what, it's not even called a raw mode, the uncompressed mode. So I've now got to wait for this. Imagine if you just saw that most amazing thing happen and you've got to wait for it to bloody take the picture and then take out the floppy disk, put a new one in, and take another photo. How pointless is that?